Hey guys, thanks for joining me on Shade Tree Mechanic. Today we're going to learn about a basic oil change and fluid checking. I got this Pennzoil high mileage because my vehicle is most definitely high mileage. When it comes to oil, this is what I do. I go to the parts store, and immediately when you walk in, they'll have a little sales flyer, and I just simply look at what oil is on sale. They normally have a oil plus filter deal going on, and that's where I get this. And so I'm not saying I recommend Pennzoil for every time or a microguard filter. I mean, honestly, I just get whatever's on sale. That's what I always do. It's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Some of you guys may be highly against that. You're very biased towards one particular type of oil or a particular filter that you use. That's okay. I just use whatever's on sale, and so whatever. But so you got your oil, your filter. For messes, you're gonna make a mess. This here is just a kid's blanket that I found, and you know, that'll do. Some basic tools that you'll need is you can either use a socket set. This is a little basic socket set. It's a 3/8 drive. You can see there, 3/8 ratchet. So this is just a 3/8 drive ratchet. And you got your sockets. So when you get under your car, which I'll show you in a minute, you'll find out what size bolt is on your oil pan, and I'll show you that and what that looks like if you don't know what you're looking for. Another thing that is handy to have is an oil filter plier set. This just simply grabs the filter to take it off, and to tighten it, it just has these teeth, grabs hold of it really good, and you can snug down on it. I recommend a little pair of gloves. This is just a cheap pair of, I guess, fabric gloves that has this rubber type grip a little bit. Those that do, you can grip your oil filter with both of those, snug it down, you'll be okay. So the other thing is you need to get your car elevated enough to get up under there. If you have an SUV or a truck, sometimes you can crawl under there without problem, but I highly recommend getting a cheap pair of ramps. But I think you can get these from the parts store for about $30, $40 maybe. But this is something that, just look up how heavy your car is, and when you find a set of ramps, just see what they're rated for. And if they're within your car's weight range, you're good to go. So anyways, let's get started on this oil change. First, we're going to get this car up on ramps so we can get under it and take a look at what we're doing. So a good way to do this is to get the ramp underneath your front tires. Go ahead and wedge them up under there. Get them lined up. Just kind of look at the front of your car. If you got to adjust it a little bit, just give it a little kick, and you're good to go. There you go. It's good to have somebody look for you, but you don't always have to. Ramp comes up a little bit, don't be afraid. It's all right. And shut it off. Always, when you put a car up on ramps, always put your emergency brake on. Make sure it's all the way down. Now, no car tutorial video is complete without flaws. Now, my hood struts are weak and worn out, and they no longer hold up my hood. So, all you gotta do, that's better. Any broomstick, stick, something will do for this, but my go-to here lately has been the handle for my motorcycle jack. So, when you look under here, you get him down in the front of your car. You're going to look under And I don't really know how to describe it to you, but just think of where your engine is and look directly under it. And I mean, you should be able to tell. It's just something, just think of a pan. There's your oil pan. At the lowest point of it has a bolt, and that is your pan bolt. Now mine is in 1/2 inch, so you can either get your 1/2 inch socket, or you can use a wrench as well. Now the most important thing I forgot to mention earlier is you're going to have a drain pan to do this. Drain pans aren't very expensive at all. This is what it looks like. So you can see here, it's a 15-quart drain container. I also got this from O'Reilly's parts store. You're gonna need some rags. This is just an old rag that I have. This here is just an old work t-shirt that I don't use anymore. It's worn out, so t-shirts are great for rags. So with your drain pan, the way this works is some are open top, some have a closed top like this, and you have this plug here. So you just unscrew this and see how that opens up. That allows the oil to drain down into the pan. They also have a little place here when you take off your oil filter that you can put your filter on this, and it will drain out into here, and I'll show you that later. So yeah, so let's get this under there and let's get our oil drained. There's the family. For easement for me, I'm going to use my ratchet because to me it's much easier. Now you will find sometimes, like mine, my bolt, the head is a little bit worn out. You gotta think that I'm also going righty tighty. You gotta think that, and this is 2003, and I bought this very used, so there's been a lot of hands on this vehicle, so people may have not worked on it the best. So you're just gonna take that and loosen it up. Hey. Baby's learning how to walk. What you got? You gonna help Daddy? You gonna help Daddy? Yeah? You gonna bring me a screwdriver? Thank you. Thank you. So once you get that broke free, it's going to loosen it up. And this is a good time also to use your rag or your gloves. I recommended earlier, but personal preference, whichever. If you have to get your wrench or your ratchet back on there, if it hits a tough spot again, that's okay, because mine does that. Then do that. The biggest thing is, you know, don't be afraid to get a little messy. You can wear latex gloves while doing this as well, but I just kind of choose to get messy. That's what I have rags for. Now, this is going to come out, you'll see it with quite a bit of force. So get your plug loosened up, kind of keep it pushed in, loosened up as far as it'll go, and then as soon as you know it's not going to get out anymore, pull it out quickly. And there you go. The oil will start draining to your pan. You want to keep this centered. You want to make sure that the little plug is open all the way. And we're just going to let this sit here and drain. Okay, now our oil is all drained out. Well, this is something to make sure you want to keep an eye on. Look out for. See, I did make a little mess, but it's okay. I have my blanket here. poured oil all over baby Taz. But so as your oil drains and gets lower, it's not going to come out with as much force, and you'll find that you need to reposition your pan. So just keep an eye on it. You know, I wasn't paying attention, and that's fine. So it drained down the side a little bit. But yeah, just keep an eye on that. It's going to change its flow direction a little bit. You just want to make sure it stays going into your pan. See how that drained out nicely? So that part's done. Hey, we have our rags. We can keep that kind of stuff wiped off if we like. That is okay. So what I like to do at this point is I'll take my bolt, my pan bolt, we call it. I'll wipe it off. And then I'll get it started back in there. So just remember, this time we're going righty-tighty. Like I said earlier, I'm going over everything. So if you know basics of tools, I'm sorry, that's fine. You know, just ignore it. And just accept what you don't know. But yeah, if you don't know how to use basic tools, and I just want to cover all that for you. So sometimes my screw catches little hard spots and then it loosens up again. So with this, all you want to do is you want to get it down at its bottom, make sure it's snug, and then you want to give it just another little turn, maybe not quite a quarter turn, but almost. You just want it to be nice and snug. It has a washer in there, a rubber O-ring. We're going to take, once again, we're going to wipe off that little bit of excess, try to keep it clean, and there you have it. Now, our next part is going to be removing our oil filter. So, you can see where our screw is, okay? On my vehicle, we're going to look pretty much directly next to it and above it, and there, up in there, is our oil filter. This is where I'll be using my pliers. Now can sometimes give you some trouble. It can be a little difficult, but I kind of broke it loose with the pliers already, and so now I can turn it with my hands. You see, that's broken free. Now my filter is upside down, right? So when I pull it off, it's still going to make a little bit of a mess, but not too big of a mess. Now, some car manufacturers, why on earth, I do not know, they put their filters sideways. Those are guaranteed to get all over you, so be careful. And here it begins. Your gloves are probably going to get soaked from this. That's alright. We're going to line up the pan. So you can even reach up in there, you can wipe that off, kind of clean it off a little bit, whatever makes you happy. Alright. Now, we're going to come over here, grab our filter. And there it is. MicroGuard oil filter for maximum efficiency and maximum protection. Again, when you look online to find out your oil that your car requires, look on there for the number for your oil filter. Or if you go into your local parts store, which I highly recommend, go into your local parts store. You can ask them what type of oil that you need for your vehicle. If it's high mileage, tell them that. If it's not, synthetic blends or full synthetic is good oil to use, whatever it may be. And then ask them what filter you need. Just tell them the car. Say, hey, doing an oil change. Where's your oil change specials that come with your oil and the filter? And they'll get you everything that you need. So trust that. But this is the number that I use for my 2003 Mercury Mountaineer. So yeah. So the inside of the filter, it's going to have this rubber O-ring, okay? And see how it's threaded. That is to screw onto the engine port there. Now, here's a little tip for your oil filter before you put it on, okay? I'm gonna take my already dirty gloves, okay? I'm going to take and scoop a little bit of oil, right? Sorry. And what I'm going to do is take and put a little bit on this O-ring. And what this does is whenever you tighten this thing down, and get a little bit more. Whenever you tighten this thing down onto the engine, what this oil does is it's going to allow the O-ring to slip while you're tightening it down, instead of gripping and bunching up and tearing this O-ring out of here, which could cause a bad leak. You don't want that. So you know, you got some oil up there already. Of course, I kind of cleaned mine off. I wiped it off. You don't always have to do that, because that oil that's up there, it will also cause this O-ring to kind of spin instead of grip and bunch up when you try to put it in place. So now we're going to put our oil filter on. I'm going to reach up. We're going to get it in place. Again, righty-tighty, lefty, loosey. So if you're not afraid of a little bit of work, not much, if you're not afraid to get a little bit dirty, then you can absolutely do this. So I got it as tight as I can with one hand there, and so I'll go back with my either my pliers or my grippers here, my hands. I'll get two hands on it and give it a really good turn, and I'll be confident that it's tight enough. Okay, so now that I have my oil filter on there, I just ended up using two hands. I just prefer that. Really grip down on it and tighten it up. We're going to take our oil and put it in. Now when you get ready to install your oil, what you do is you open it up. This one doesn't. Sometimes it has like a little foil seal on top. This one does not have that. Now, I highly recommend you to get a funnel, but if you do not have a funnel, you can do it anyways. You're just going to make a little bit of a mess. I am going to grab a funnel, so I will be right back. And I'm back. Alright, so you just place your funnel down in there. When you're pouring your oil, your instinct is to always pour this way, okay? See what I'm saying? Don't want to do that. Your jug is actually designed to pour like this. If I can do this, whatever, like this. The reason for that is because the oil goes down into here and flows out of the spout. And if you pour it this way, you're gonna make a big mess, and it's trying to breathe, and it's going to force oil out and just pour all over the place. So you can take it however way, hold your filter up, your funnel up, sorry, and you're going to just begin to pour your oil down into your engine. Uh-oh, see, made a mess. Made a mess. I wasn't so steady. New oil time. That's okay, we'll wipe that up. No big deal. My funnel's very small too. Once you get past a certain point, you can rotate your jug of oil and pour it this way. So we'll make sure you don't pour too much in there where it overflows. Also, when you're picking your oil out, sometimes cars don't take a full 5 quarts. It may take a little bit less, it may take more. So that's another thing you can ask your local parts store, what your car takes, the quantity. So there you go. Once you have all that in there, dribble, 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 it's okay. Just take this, put it right into that, let it drain out, and that's that. Put your cap back on. There you go. Wipe that off. Wipe up my mess. If you get a little bit of oil anywhere, don't worry about it. It's okay. Wipe it up best that you can. Where you can. You can even wash your engine bay out with some soap or engine degreaser. However, you may see that your belts might slip a little bit because it's got some oil on it. It may smoke if oil got on your exhaust manifolds. That's okay, don't worry about it. It will burn off. It just may smoke for a little bit. But you definitely want to do your best to try not to make too much of a mess and to not get the oil on any major components of the engine. Once you get all of that done, the first thing you're going to want to do is check your oil level just to make sure you have enough oil in your engine. Now the dipsticks are normally always yellow, so you're just going to pull that out like such. You always want to wipe it clean. Sorry, I'm doing this with one hand. Right there where that pattern is, that is your level range. You either want it to be at the top end or low end, anywhere in between. You just don't want it to be below. So we're going to put it back in there, focus. Put it back in, pull it out, and check. You can see that we clearly have plenty of oil inside of that range, okay? Because every bit of the pattern is covered up, and that's perfect. So that is right where you want it. Now you can take your old oil filter. I'm going to turn it upside down, put it in the box of the one that you just bought, close that up. Make sure you keep it on something because it will leak through, but we put it upside down to make sure we prevent that. Now for your drip pan, it can be a good idea to shut this back, tighten it up, okay? And this here is your drain port. Open that up. What we're going to do is we're going to take this old engine oil and we're just going to pour it right back into the jug that we bought and emptied out. Now that we have our oil, our old oil, put into this jug, we're going to show you how to dispose of it properly, because you definitely can't just take your engine oil, throw it in the trash. You can't pour it down a drain. You don't want to pour it in the ground, anything like that. You can recycle it, dispose of it properly, and we're going to take it up to the parts store to do that.